Welcome to the Real Construction Owners Podcast, where we interview real construction owners and service providers who are crushing it to help you go from being a stressed out operator to a thriving business owner. Today, we have Randy Brothers, the owner of Elite Roofing and Solar out of Colorado, as well as the CEO of the Roofing Academy. We're going to be dropping bombs today about how to become an owner, how to use systems and processes, how to set leaders in your business so you can duplicate and elevate and get out of the rat race. So if that interests you, stay tuned. What's up, Randy? How you doing there, brother?
Awesome, brother. Thanks for having me on the show today. I'm looking forward to it, my man.
Hey, we got to give the goods. We got all these struggling contractors out there. We got to help them.
Absolutely. That's kind of my life purpose at this point, man.
Same here, man. Once you make it to a certain level of income and leadership and your business running itself, you're like, okay, what's next? Now I got to give back. So that's where you're
I think
at.
it correlates though, because if you get to that point within your own business, you as a leader, you get to a point where you learn to understand what leadership is all about in empowering and developing and helping other leaders grow. So once you do that with your own business, then it just makes sense to try to kind of carry that out and help others. And that's kind of the natural progression there, I think.
So before we dive into the goods, I want you to brag a little bit. Tell us your story and don't hold back. Like, tell us like how the success that you've created. And while you're doing this, make it to where people want to listen to you after they hear, wow, this guy, what he's created and the success he's had.
Gotcha. And I try not to, I'm not the guy that's going to sit here and elaborate and sell anything. I'm just, what you see is what you get, and I believe that your vibe attracts your tribe. And if someone out there can resonate with me and my story, that's awesome. But I don't need to try to sell them, right? It's just, hey, let's connect. And if we have, similar values and characteristics and things that can connect with each other, then albeit, let's go, let's be friends, let's help support each other and let's grow together. But the story, I don't know, where do you want me to start? Because at one point I was homeless and had to figure out how to make life happen. And that's kind of when I dove into roofing and roofing sales and knocking doors and trying to, figure out how to get myself to a financial place where I can survive, let alone thrive.
Was it after a big storm or something?
What was that?
Was it after a big storm in Colorado or what?
It was before a big storm in Colorado. So it was kind of because of a big storm. So I'll go back to it. So I get into construction. It's kind of all I know. I'm a third generation contractor and went to school in Northern Colorado and studied business. And through college, I started full-time working as a superintendent for a construction company. And I learned a lot. I learned it from, how to literally stake out a site to then build a house from the ground up. I did the entire process multiple times before I was even 25 years old. So I got in early and learned construction, and that's kind of all I knew. And then I graduated school and kind of had to figure out what my next moves were going to be. So I started a construction company naturally, right? Hey, started a construction company. I was in an area of the country that was thriving. A lot of building was going on, and there was a big market for basement finish. And as they don't really have that in Texas, but in Colorado, it's a big thing. So at that time, a lot of houses had been built the last few years, and a lot of people were starting to finish their basements. So I'm going to start by finishing a lot of basements. So did that, saw some success early, landed our first deal and got in with some investors and people that were buying houses, fixing the basements, and then flipping the houses, and did some really cool work, a lot of custom stuff. And lo and behold, as I'm just in the grind, trying to wear all the hats and do all the work and all the sales and do all the things myself, like a lot of us do as solopreneurs, I didn't pay attention to the market. The market started shifting. The market crash started happening. The banks all of a sudden stopped lending. My market started going under. Foreclosure rates started rising, and all of a sudden people stopped doing construction. They stopped doing basements. They stopped, doing remodels. And I was just kind of left like, what now? So I was just scrounging, trying to figure out what my next moves were going to be. I got into fire and water restoration as a superintendent, trying to do that. But that's what it ultimately got me exposed to the storm or the insurance world, doing remediation and rebuilds and fire and water. And from there, I got the bright idea to become an insurance adjuster. So I decided, and at the same time, I had a girlfriend at the time that had moved to Texas. Like, you know what? I can use a new change of scenery. So here we go. Moved to Texas, moved to Austin, and spent a year there, became an insurance adjuster, started traveling, doing the whole, independent insurance adjuster thing. And that's what really got me exposed to roofing and roofing sales and that whole deal. I was like, wait a minute, what am I missing here? And then from there, I got into roofing sales, and circling all the way back, I got an opportunity. A big storm happened in Colorado.
Life-changing. Life-changing. That was a life-changing storm.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people's lives were changed, and that was '09, right? So that was a big turning point for this industry and for a lot of people who got in at that point. And I was able to get in. A friend of mine who was knocking doors for some company, I had a little experience, doing some roofing sales and obviously construction sales and just sales in general. And I was like, hey, I know this adjusting thing. I know construction really well. How hard could it be to sell roofs? So moved to Colorado, put everything in my truck. Didn't have a place to live. Just moved back and just dove in, and was like, I'm going to figure it out on the way there. So I couch surfed with some friends for a little while, and I was able to,
Did you leave it? You left your girlfriend in Austin?
Yeah. Left her in Austin. And with like 2 days notice, I was like, hey, babe, I'm leaving. I gotta go back to Colorado because I'm done with this poverty that I was living in. And I didn't know what the ultimate goal was, but lo and behold, that was probably the best move ever, because shortly after that, I met my wife. So her and I ended up breaking up. And then right when I got here, I barely even had a place to live. I was living in like an extended stay when I met my next girlfriend, which is now my wife of 11 years. We've been together 13 years, 2 beautiful children, and amazing, so that would have never happened if I didn't just jump in,
send it,
and dive into the roofing world. So through all that though, I ended up going bankrupt with my construction company. So that was a hard decision. And I've talked about it. As you can see, I wrote a book and talk about it a lot in there, and started to build a grow the Contractor's Guide to Success. And then from there, it was just ground floor, just complete reset, complete restart. And I had no other choice but to go find a way to provide. And that's what got me into roofing, and went out and knocked doors as much as I needed to, as much as I could do to make some money. And I did really well at roofing sales. I found out I was pretty good at it. I always had an entrepreneurial bug. And in 2010, I kind of relaunched the company and rebranded it to Elite Roofing, and grew that. We saw some incredible success there, building a very organized, very systemized company. We scaled, 10x over a 4.5 year period. And then that was the point that people started noticing and started saying, hey, what did you do? How did you do that? And at that point, I was like, you know what, let me share my story and write a book, and wrote that. And then from there, the academy just kind of started to evolve. And now we have 2 parallel businesses that, support one another, and we coach and help other contractors, achieve success all over the country.
Curious, there's so many things to unpack about that. And we'll just start with this. Like, you found a niche in the basement. Like you said, this is what I'm going to specialize in. And then you found channeling partners, people who can feed you business. That right there, contractors listening in, if you don't have a channeling partner, that's an opportunity for you to find somebody who could give you business, whether it be insurance adjusters, realtors, or, these investors or whoever else. And then lastly, the pain that you went through, that pain was a good thing. Some people don't want pain, but pain is what led you to do opportunities, because you were like so fed up that you said, I got to make a change. And that's when all the abundance started happening. So I see that you have a Traction, the book right there. And this is one of the best books. If you were to say like what this methodology is, how you're helping contractors in the Roofing Academy, like in terms of leadership and putting the right leadership in place, what insights would you say, how you implement the insights from Traction and simplify it for contractors in the Roofing Academy?
So Traction is, one of the greatest operating systems for businesses across the world, across the country, right? And it's built in a way that you can take the concepts and apply it to a lot of different verticals and a lot of different types of companies. But as we know, in the roofing space specifically, especially with all the different dynamics and verticals within roofing, it's not apples to apples. It's not just like plug and play. There's a lot of things you got to figure out and try to kind of create your own concept based on their concept to get it to work. Because roofing's different. I mean, if you're running an insurance model or a retail model or a commercial model or a service model, or now solar is the big thing, right? So, or if you're doing all the trades, there's a lot of different dynamics in roofing, and the structural components of leadership and getting the right people in the right seats and creating great meeting cadence and meeting structures and building your data set, which is all amazing things. But I found through that process of really studying and learning traction, as well as some other programs, that there was a lot of missing elements that were specific to roofing. So I started diving in on, okay, how do I add and convert things to be more roofing specific and simplify it to where, someone who may have not had any formal business training or, didn't go to business school, and so, we're a bunch of blue collar guys that like see an opportunity and go in and try to hustle, right? So I wanted to create a concept, create a system that catered to that a little bit more, more roofing specific, creating the different verticals in roofing and how to sell and produce. They don't teach you how to sell and produce in traction, right? And then the numbers, right? Running your business by the numbers as a roofing contractor. So many of us have no clue what we're doing. And it's okay. Like, it's a tough subject because, we're proud, type A's, I'm going to make millions of dollars selling roofing, but our balance sheet and our P&L is a complete disaster. We don't know who to talk to. We're not even willing to admit that. But 9 out of 10 contractors I deal with or I meet, we start there. We've got to dive in and figure out what the numbers are all about. And that's where we're able to take the baseline of traction and level that up and create another model that's, has evolved not only in our company, but now we teach to contractors all over the country, which is actually called the Roofing Success System. So it's a new version, with some influence there, but it's roofing specific with 18 years of experience behind it. And it's been really cool to kind of develop that over the last really 13 years.
I love that. So it sounds like within your own business, you have great leaders in place. And in business, you have to have leaders, and they have to have roles, and underneath them, they have their own people who, report to them. And if you could shine some light on how your business is set up. Obviously, you're visionary, you have integrator, and then talk about some of the roles for our audience so they can kind of get a glimpse of how you're running your show.
Sure. So yes, we have a leadership team. So myself, I have a business partner who is really good in management as well as integration. I'm high level vision, right? I'm all vision. And then we have a CEO in place, and as my sister has been working with us for 12, 13 years. And she's an incredible integrator, like really, really good at integration and systems and processes. And all of us are really dedicated to growing as leaders in addition to what our kind of natural God-given strengths are. So that's the core, right? Our leadership team, she oversees operations, production, the back office, billing, all the things, all the back office stuff from production all the way to, invoicing. And then she has people that, people that are working under her that have specific roles. Someone's in charge of AR, someone's in charge of AP, someone's in charge of, coordinating service, someone's in charge of pulling permits. And we create a whole dynamic underneath her. And then things are a little bit fluid now because we launched the solar department last year. So we're full-fledged, full install solar. So it's not just selling or selling for somebody else. We cradle to grave solar. So my business partner has been leading that project. And then he has a solar manager, and we have the fulfillment, which is our electrician, and then our install teams underneath them. And then I kind of oversee sales. So I have a residential sales team, a commercial sales team, a solar sales team, and our service department, which also has, some lead guys that are also trained to do sales. So we've separated all those things out and kind of siloed the 4 different verticals that we work on in our business. And that's kind of the overarching structure of where we are today.
That's beautiful. I love that. Now, regarding how you're overseeing sales, you're the visionary, you have all the ideas, and you are overseeing 3 departments: a residential division, a commercial division, a solar division. How do you balance that? And better yet, how did you train your solar division?
So the solar, there's three of us. I'm kind of more the idea, just kind of helping oversight and create like sales opportunities and that sort of thing, where I have a dedicated kind of production type manager as well as my partner who's overseeing that. So we have enough great leadership to help divide and conquer when it comes to that, because it's two different worlds. A lot of people probably listen to this, a lot of roofers in our space, everybody's going into solar. But what they're doing is, and I'm going to give you kids here. Yeah. What everybody's doing is finding the EPC, finding someone else to fulfill, and they're just going to go out and knock doors and sell solar just like they've always done with roofing. Here's the problem. That's becoming, everybody's doing that, right? A lot of people are doing that. Fulfillment is just like roofing is and or was 10 years ago, a disaster. You don't know who's going to show up. You don't know if they're going to show up, what shirt they're wearing. Are they going to communicate? What are they going to do to your brand reputation when you go out and sell a $40,000, $50,000 solar project, and then someone else comes in and doesn't do a great job installing it? What does that do? Creates a bunch of issues, a bunch of headaches. We experienced that. So that's why we're like, you know what? Let's look at this from a different angle. We want to be really good at the things that other people are either afraid or they don't have the skill set or the knowledge or the team to be able to do. So we're going to go the hard, longer route and figure that piece out. Figure out fulfillment where I don't have to be reliant on an EPC or somebody else that I don't have any control over, right? Entrepreneur 101. So that's what we put our energy in. It's two separate things. So we have the fulfillment side, which we can actually fulfill for other people, right? So we have our own EPC. So you go sell a solar job, send it over, I can actually fulfill it. On the flip side, we have a small solar team that just sells solar as we get the opportunities, and we're ratcheting that up now. But I didn't go all in on solar sales knowing that the fulfillment was the headache, was the issue in our industry, in the solar industry. So I kind of flip-flopped and focused on the fulfillment side, and now we're building the sales side, if that makes sense. So balance, good people, right? Good people, and very, very intentional with my time, right? I have very structured meetings each week, and we try to get, hey, level 10, right? We call it, it's a weekly meeting, kind of our own version of what a level 10 would be. And we're with each department. And I'm just very intentional about those meetings and connecting with the leadership team and empowering them to then go and execute and deliver on the strategies and the, ideas and goals that we put in place.
That's fire. Contractors, if you're listening in, you're just dropping bomb after bomb. Like what Randy is saying is vital to growing a business to where you could become an owner and not an operator. That's what this is all about. That's why you're here today listening. So with that being said, you have to have a highly systemized processes, and everybody has to have different roles. Speak on that topic.
Well, you can either shotgun it and throw people at problems to try to grow your business, or you can kind of do it in a scientific way and really focus on putting the right people in the right seats, right? Don't mind the cliche that everybody's heard, but it's vitally important. Like, I'm good at certain things, and most owners, we start a business, everybody has natural, your natural, what we call like your superpower, or what's the one thing that you're really good at? Well, so often we spend so much time doing all the other things that we're not good at because we don't know how to get out of our own way. And we have to be very intentional about figuring out not only like what we're good at, but what we love to do, and then what we hate and what we're not good at. Start there, and then create a vision and a plan to then put people in positions and find people that are naturally good at the things that you're not good at, or that I'm not good at, right? And we can do that. There's a million different assessments. You can use personality assessments to do this. You can do different exercises and just, we created our own kind of exercises, derivative from the traction exercise, but it's a 4 quadrants of like, what do you love to do? What do you hate to do? And what are you good at and you're okay with? And what do you like to do, but you're not that good at, and then figure out what those roles are within your business and create a goal and an action plan to help you get there. and it's one person at a time, right? So having a good leadership team, is a great starting point. And if you have two partners or two leaders that are the same person loving the same thing, unfortunately, that's probably not going to work. You're going to have to kind of diversify, like find people who are good at the things you're not good at.
Yeah. Put them in their God-given skill set and put them in their superpower. That's vital. And don't be afraid to move people around, because you have to. If they're not good at it, you need to find the right person who can put their butt in that chair. And like you said, be the right person in the right seat. Because
you'd be surprised.
Ultimately, like if you're going forward in a ship and, everybody's rowing in the ship, if one guy's just like hanging back there, just chilling, looking out at the seagulls, but his little paddles in the water, the boat will start to go off course. So everybody has to be in the right seat.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. We do a lot of on-sites with, when we onboard clients and those sort of things. We'll go to their office and do a 1 or 2 day, like really deep dive on-site. And a lot of times we discover through the process that we follow is that people are in the wrong seats. Leadership. We've had owners completely switch roles, and then all of a sudden, like a spark happens and the company just thrives. But it's like it takes that third party to come in and like expose some of those things. And a lot of times, we call it shuffling the deck. We go in and realize what people are good at, what they like doing, what they want to do if they're not in a good role, and we shuffle the deck and move responsibilities and move people around. And that sets an amazing foundation for it. Ignites a culture. It ignites the drive and gets everybody rowing in the same direction. And it's amazing what a third party could do. I mean, that alone is like worth its weight in gold.
For sure. I shuffled my deck recently. I had one of our admins who answers the phone go in to be my full-time recruiting person. And she recruited 7 commission-based sales reps on her first attempt, 8 the next week. And this week she's got over 10 lined up. And I used to have to do that as the owner, an hour a week to show up to my big recruiting call. And now I don't have to show up to it. It's all about putting the right people in the right seat so you can duplicate and elevate and thrive as a business owner. So with that being said, I'm curious, what process do you have in place to regularly win larger projects?
Man, there isn't a secret sauce there, man. It's been 7 years of business development and relationship development to get us to a place where we've earned the trust and respect of our partners to then kind of come in and get the large deals. So commercial has been a major, big part of our business. Our market, right? Dallas already got a 5-star storm, freaking February, March, whatever. Denver hasn't had one in 4 years. So you either got to adjust, adapt, or go to Texas, right? So, for us, it's like, I don't want to leave. My kids are in an age that I love being home with them. And when they get off school, I want to be home and around them. And I'm willing to sacrifice the scale, rapid, explosive growth of a storm that I don't have. So we had to shift, and we've put all our energy into commercial and then now solar. But on the commercial side, it's you don't just like flip a switch and then next day, I'm landing big project. You may catch a whale every once in a while based on a relationship of somebody or someone in your business knows. They know the right person to get a deal. But it's nurturing relationships, and service is the key. Be willing to go do the $500, leak repair, the $1,000, do those little repairs to prove that you're good at what you do and that you care and that you can nurture that relationship. And once that relationship gets better and better and better, all of a sudden, the bigger and bigger opportunities start coming your way. And you're not competing against these monster companies that can come in and undercut you and do way cheaper, large roofs. It's so relationship based that it kind of, again, maybe cliche, everyone says that, but so important.
Love that. What characteristic do you have that you instill in your life on a day-to-day basis that makes your roofing company so successful?
Well, it's our core values, and it's, we teach this stuff too. And I talk about it on stages and different things like that. It's, everybody, whether you have them written down or not, everybody has core values. Everybody has certain things that are values to them. Maybe they've not taken the time to really expose that or or put that, or even companies maybe have it written on the wall. But just because it's written on your wall, does that mean that that's what you live each and every day? And for me, it's, I, by no means am I perfect. I've done a lot of dumb things in my day. I paid my dumb tax, and I'm still a sinner, right? But for me, I built our company on the foundation of faith, family, honesty, and integrity, and then service, teamwork, and safety. Those are our core values. And, I live those on Friday night. I live those on Saturday. I live those on Sunday morning going to church. And I live those on Monday morning when I show up. My staff knows that what you see is what you get with me as a leader. And I'm not trying to say that from a place of, arrogance, but it took me a long time to figure that out, because I used to be a partier, and I used to be full of, my ego would get the best of me. And all I cared about was attention and the money and the cars and all the cool things. Like, I had to learn the hard way that that's not what it's all about. Like, if you're going to establish core values, you have to live those core values outside of the work and behind closed doors in order to have an incredible impact during operating hours.
That's good stuff. Talking to Yoda over here. So curious, Randy, last book you read cover to cover and the lesson that you learned from it.
Dude.
Besides traction, you can't say direction.
No. Oh, well, I'm about to blow everybody's mind right now. Well, the thing is, I finished like 3 books in the last week, but the one that's just gonna rock my world, and I can't wait to implement into my businesses and into my consulting, is The 6 Working Geniuses by Patrick Lencioni.
6 Working Geniuses by Patrick. Okay. And can you give us your top takeaways?
Top takeaways are there's 6, in order to get something done, right? There's 3 core processes, and one of those is like the idea phase, right? Ideation, they call it. There's an idea. I have an idea to do something. And then there's the invention phase, which is going to be, okay, how does that idea become action and create, like, how do you actually implement an idea? And then there's the execution phase, which is getting it done and actually taking it to completion. And throughout those 3 phases, it takes a team of people usually to execute that sort of thing, right? So what they figured out was that there's 6 key, quote unquote, working geniuses to help go from ideation to completion. And as a human, we have 2 that are our working geniuses, that are where we love to do, we're naturally good at, let's call our God-given talent. And there's 2 that we can do, we're okay with, we can do, but not long term. And there's 2 that we just absolutely, it's not our thing. And it takes you from that process of wondering and creating an idea to, questioning, is this a good idea? Is it not a good idea? To implementation, to actually getting it done, to rallying the troops and motivating the team to get it done, to doing the work, to taking it to the finish line, right? Those are all 6, right? In a nutshell. So like understanding that concept and applying that to a leadership team is just like real. I mean, it changes the game, man. It changes how we execute, how we get things done in our life and in our business. So I literally just finished that book. It's funny. I bought it. I heard a podcast about it, and then I bought the book, and then I was reading it. I got about 2/3 of the way through it. And I'm sitting on a plane, and I put it in the back of the chair, and I get up off the plane. I leave the book in the dang plane. So then what I do on the way back from that same trip, I went and downloaded it, and I listened to the entire thing over again in a short period of time because it was that impactful. So yeah, that's a good book.
Nice. I'm going to have to go to ChatGPT and give it a command that says, tell me all the best principles from 6 Working Genius by Patrick Lencioni or whatever, and then get a summary so I can kind of get on the game where you're talking about. ChatGPT is amazing, by the way. You could get, you could find out what a book's about real quick and then determine if you want to buy it or not. Because I'm in Costa Rica, so I can't just there's no Amazon here. So I go back to the States 4 times a year to do my quarterly meeting, with my team using the traction methodology. And when I go, I load up all my new books.
Yep. Yeah. ChatGPT is like scary, man.
How are you using it?
I mean, I'm not I just played with it a little bit, but I know some people in my space that are like using it to write books.
Nice.
Actually writing books using it. And it's like better than if you were to write it yourself. It's like, it's just scary.
I got the
college right now with ChatGPT. Like I could be a lawyer right now, and I'm not a student type guy, you know.
I know, same here, dude. I gotta tell you, it is amazing with dealing with salespeople. Like they'll say something to you, and you can actually give it a command, like, "Hey, respond to this. Respond to a commission-based salesperson that you're trying to inspire to go to work, but at the same time, consoling with her feelings." In the voice of Bill Gates. And it'll type for like the most beautifully elegant little text that you send to the person. And the person's like, wow, you're so amazing. So try it out. Hey, I'm curious, what's the best process you have in your business? Explain how it works and the benefits it brings you.
I mean, it's hard to just say for my business, because I think this is the one process that every company has to master in order to grow and scale, and that's the handoff between sales and production.
The handoff between sales and production. Okay, well, can you elaborate how your process is so good?
Well, that's where all of the information gets transferred, right? The salesperson is meeting with the homeowner. They're doing whatever. Maybe they're doing the inspections, maybe they're not doing inspections, whatever it is. They're the ones with all the information up front. And then the production department is the one that needs to order it, coordinate it, produce it, right? Make sure it's done at a high quality. That information transfer from the salesperson to the production person is where the biggest challenges happen as a roofing contractor. That's where the ball gets dropped the most. So the key is having a very detailed checklist of information that must be had in order to transfer to the production team to where they can actually take a job, produce a job without having to reach back out to that salesperson. Okay. Imagine your company, for those of you who listen to this, imagine your company, if your production person, coordinator, manager, whatever you want to call them, can take a job and have all the information in front of them to then get it produced without even having to chase down a salesperson to get more information. I'm pretty sure someone just like fell out of their chair listening to that. It can be done. It's done through training, teaching you to train your people to gather the same information every single time, and accountability. The production coordinator, manager, sales manager, whatever the person is that's approving jobs, if you approve a job that's missing a piece of information, guess what's going to happen? That salesperson is going to be like, I don't need to get all the information, because they're going to approve it no matter what, because they want to roof my jobs because I'm the man. If that production person kicks that job back saying, you're missing drip edge color, go get the drip edge color and then I'll produce this job, it'll teach that salesperson that, oh, I have to cross on my T's and dot on my I's and have all the information in order to get this job produced. Master that process and you'll set yourself up for scalability, and you'll protect your reputation.
Dropping bombs once again over there in Colorado. So I'd say best tip you could give an owner who's leading a team and wants to leave a legacy.
It's hard not to circle back to what I talked about earlier. And, you know, the most important characteristic of a leader, I believe, is to live their values. You know, people will see right through you, man. If you're a BSer, if you're just like putting on a face and the rah cheerleader, and then you're a complete jerk in the background or treating people disrespectful, you know, outside of work hours, or you know, your family, your friends, your spouse, like different people in the organization. If you're not treat everybody with dignity and respect all the time, people will see right through that. You know, and I think that's the key.
Randy Brothers, so much good information here. Elite Roofing and Solar, and the owner of the Roofing Academy. If somebody likes what you're saying, they're vibing with you, and they want more information, how do they reach out?
All the social media platforms, but you can just go to our website, man. We got, you know, recordings, podcasts. We got YouTube. We got our podcast is the Start, Build, Grow Show. So you can check that out on YouTube, on all the podcast platforms, wherever you're listening to this or watching this. There's probably, you can search out Start, Build, Grow Show, the Start, Build, Grow Show. Same title of the book. You can find that on Amazon. Start it, build it, grow it, the Contractor's Guide to Success. But the easiest way is just to go to theroofingacademy.com. And there's a ton of information on there, links to, videos, testimonials, free content, as well as a way to book and connect and book calls and get connected with myself and or my team.
Love that. Thanks for being on the Real Construction Owners podcast today, Randy. Have a good day.
My man, thanks for having me. This has been awesome.
Love it.